Towards the end of my video on the Hardwire SP7 stereo phaser pedal, I pondered out loud over whether they thought about putting a univibe mode in here. And my pal over at Pedal Experiment said, well, probably not because it's already in the TR-7 pedal. So obviously I had to get myself one of these, and now obviously there's going to be a whole video about it. So enjoy. All right, let's take a look at this thing. Typical Digitech Hardwire pedal construction and features. You got your beefy metal case, your stereo ins and outs, true bypass, just checks a lot of boxes. And this is a tremolo and rotary pedal, so it's all about modulation, primarily amplitude or loudness for the tremolo part, and a mix of amplitude and tonal characteristics for the rotary part. Let's check out the modes knob and see what we've got. Up first, we've got tremolo. Okay, that's a tremolo. I got that, easy enough. Opto and bias. Okay, I know those are two different types of tremolo, optical and bias. Duo trem, not entirely sure what that is. Rotary, yep, no mystery there. That's your rotary. Vibe, I'm assuming that's the univibe. And vibro pan, maybe that's like the Boss PN2 tremolo pan pedal. I really have no idea. I have some exploring to do. All right, let's just go through all these modes one at a time, starting out with the first one, tremolo. And that gives us a speed knob to adjust the rate. And then we've got another knob for the depth or intensity of the effect. And for the most part, those two first knobs will do that same sort of thing, no matter which mode we're in. But the third knob, labeled Modify, does something different depending on the mode. So for tremolo, it adjusts the waveform shape from a simple, smooth sine wave to a sharp square wave. Moving on, opto is an optically isolated tremolo circuit like what you might find in a Fender amp, though probably labeled as vibrato because Fender. Bias is a real interesting one. Now, you probably already know this, but tubes in a guitar amp need to be set with the correct amount of voltage to sound their best in that amp. Too low and it'll sound weak and thin, and too high and you'll have a whole lot of fun, but those tubes will burn out really quick. Bias tremolo modulates that voltage up and down, so it's adjusting not only the volume, but that thin to dynamic characteristic as well. Apparently, this is a thing primarily in Vox amps, and it can be done with preamp as well as power amp tubes. This is a digital pedal, so none of that is actually going on in here, but I still really want to hear it. Dual is dual tremolo. Yeah, two tremolos connected in series. And if you remember the video I did for the mid-fi electronics random phase and vibrato, some interesting stuff can happen when you've got two different wave patterns interacting with one another. For this setting, the modify knob sets the speed of that second tremolo, and here's a little sample of that. Rotary is a rotary based on the Leslie speaker cabinet, which features independently rotating treble horn and bass rotor components. The modify knob is our wet to dry mix, and I'm going to leave this pretty wet because this is the pedal's namesake and I want to hear lots of it. Vibe is Univibe, which Digitech cleverly calls Ultra Vibe. And if you aren't sure what it is, it's sort of like a phaser with a few more interesting details, which give it more of a rotary-esque type effect. It really is its own thing. And hopefully by now you know that I love Univibes. In this mode, the modify knob adjusts it from chorus to vibrato mode, which is just a fancy way of saying how much of the original signal gets mixed in with the affected signal. I'm on the edge of my seat. Give me that Univibe. And VibroPan is a dual voice vibrato effect with variable phase control for the voices. I honestly have no idea what that could mean, so maybe we should just try it out. Cool. Cool. Just as a side note, I'm recording all these in stereo, and they all have some sort of stereo effect, but that last one definitely hits different in stereo. This is also a tap tempo pedal. You got to hold down the pedal for 3 seconds to get it into tap tempo mode, and then you tap out the song's tempo, and then you hold it down for another 3 seconds to go back to normal mode. Otherwise, you can't turn it off without it thinking that you're trying to do tap tempo again. And it's worth noting that for each tap, it will do 4 cycles of the tremolo modes and 2 cycles of those last 3 modes. So it's kind of nice they set it up that way, so it's not just a 1-to-1 rotation per tap kind of thing. I like it. Someone had their thinking cap on with that. I do have to say, though, that this is a fast pedal by default. I tend to favor a really slow sweep with my modulation, and I have to really shove this knob way over to the left side to get there. Maybe it's just me. But overall, I think this is one of my favorite Hardwire pedals. There's just such a great selection of effects in here, and it's all done really nicely. Having those 3 styles of tremolo, 4 if you count the duo trem, and then the rotary, the univibe. I wish I had this like a bunch of years ago. Probably would have saved me a bunch of dollars too. Anyway, how about one little last jam? Yeah, this could definitely hitch a ride on my pedal board any day. I had a lot of fun exploring this and seeing what I could do with all those different modes. Seriously, this was one of my favorite videos to put together so far this year. It being a digital pedal doesn't really bother me. These Hardwire pedals represent a very specific period of time in pedal evolution, I guess. And I guess we'll see if they ever get reborn in some other form. I kind of wonder if any of the DNA from this made it into the Ventura vibe, another amazing pedal I might have to take a deeper look at. Hint, hint. One thing's for sure, though. These big, heavy OG Hardwire pedals aren't getting any easier or cheaper to find. There is one of these on Reverb right now for 150 bucks. Looks brand new with a box and all the goodies. Someone needs to pick that up if they haven't already. But before you go digging through your couch cushions, please make sure you're subscribed to my channel. That really helps me out a lot. And make sure you come back, and I'll catch you on the next one.